So we're gonna start with our blanket, and I'm gonna give you the option of opening up your towel or your blanket and making a hot dog roll with it. So, I'm only 5 feet, so this is definitely long enough for me. If you need to open it up more, you can. You could always use your mat. So option 1 is to start in a comfortable seat. Option 2 is we're gonna start to use the core a little bit, but also kind of waken up the body if you're feeling tired. And I'm gonna put my bum right on the blanket, right? So I'm right on that hot dog roll, right in the center of my spine. My butt is on it. And then if you have a little bit extra blanket, you can flip it under your neck. So you have almost a little pillow and my chin is lightly tipping downward. I'm gonna rest my arms. So this is option number 2. Number 1 was seated. Number 2 is just lying down. Number 3 is if that feels too wobbly, scoot your bum off and then you'll just have this nice supported chest opener. And let yourself arrive here tonight. Just really get comfortable here. Wherever here is for you, find a way to get comfortable. And maybe start by taking some deep breaths. And allow yourself to arrive here. Allow yourself to ground your body and your mind here. And take stock of maybe how much of you is still doing what you were doing a half hour ago, or even 10 minutes ago, or 2 minutes ago. And just notice that parts that are lingering in the past. Now notice maybe are you already thinking to the future? And we're really just noticing the mind doing what the mind does, which is contemplate and plan, assess, process. So just taking stock of where the mind is. There's no right or wrong to it, it's just noticing. And maybe slowing down a little further to notice your breath. As you breathe in, are there parts that feel easy or tense? And when you breathe out, are there parts that feel easy and tense? Like doing a body, mind, energy scan right now. And then what about your emotional body or the energy or tone to your emotions right now? Is there something that you've been carrying around all day or something that's just sitting at the forefront of the emotions? Again, just noticing. And now come back to the breath. Just a few more breaths here. Taking in with compassion and kindness, whatever arises for you. Maybe even making that part of your offering tonight on our mat. May I be kind and compassionate to my breath, to my body, to my emotions as they rise and fall. Whenever you arrive at your next exhale and you empty out the breath fully, maybe draw the hands together in front of the heart and gently bow in. And then letting the eyes open. If you're not already on your back, go on and come to your back and take the prop out. And let's roll onto our left side. So on my left side, my left arm is extended to the side, to the long edge of my mat. And my right arm is overhead. My knees are bent. Now you might find you want to bring your knees in pretty close to the torso. You may find you want your knees a little more stacked or unstacked, just finding a comfortable position for the hips and the spine. And my right arm is reaching overhead, and if you have your blanket nearby or towel, you can just rest your hand on that. Just getting a stretch here through the side body, maybe a little bit of core action here, just keeping yourself balanced. And then we're gonna take our arm and take it along the horizon. So as you breathe in, lift the arm so it's gonna go past your face and make its way and hover over your right hip. And then with the breath, just start to take it, glide the arm back overhead. Maybe it pauses, fingertips down, or maybe it hovers. And then with your breath, just simply begin to take this sort of like 180-degree movement with the arm, or a half circle. Noticing how it feels in the shoulder, parts of the shoulder blade, the outer upper arm, your neck. Let's do one more on this side. And then when you come back to the arm overhead, just pause for a breath. And at the very bottom of your exhale, roll on over to your other side. Find a comfortable position where you feel balanced. Reach the left arm overhead. And pause there, finding that stretch through the side body here. Noticing how the neck is responding and adjusting your arm accordingly. And then as you're ready, we'll start to take the left hand arm along the horizon and then gliding it back overhead, hovering or tapping it to or towards the ground. And keep moving on your breath. I prefer this movement coming in front of me, but if you're feeling drawn to like open up through the whole circle, go for it. For some reason that feels a little funky for me. So I like to stay on the horizon and do more of a 180 than a 360. Play around there, see how it feels. We'll do one or two more. Maybe noticing side to side differences, letting the core drop back towards the spine to hold you here. And the next time you come overhead, go on and let that hand linger just for a breath. Shoulders soften, breath is full and emptying out. And then go on and roll onto your back here. As you're ready, let's draw the knees in towards the chest and take them wide, like a modified happy baby where you're holding the kneecaps or the outer knees so your elbows can drop. And then maybe you want to rock a little side to side, or maybe it just feels good to add a little downward pressure to the kneecaps. Maybe you're feeling it in the inner thighs and outer hips, the back. And just notice if the lower back is arching and see if you can bring the lower back in particular more neutral. From here, we're going to move into astronaut, which is a bunch of core work, which is a little funky and a little fun. And I'm going to give you lots of different ways through it. So just notice what you need and dive in or back out where you need to. So we're going to start first. I'm going to let my arms drop. I'm going to keep my right leg hovering. I'm going to extend my left leg here. And then I'm going to extend my right leg, draw the left in, and pretend like you're walking. And as you're walking with, no gravity, you're like a little bit looser with your legs. So rather than a bicycle, instead you're going wide. Maybe you're crossing the legs. Maybe they're sort of straight and bent. Maybe the ankles are involved. Maybe you're rocking a little towards the right as you walk, and then you're rolling a little towards the left as you walk. Now this is where you're gonna stay. You can get as funky as you want with the leg crossing and the ankles. If you wanna add on a little bit more, you're gonna start to rock up to your sitting bones, rock over towards the left and continue your moonwalk, walk over towards the right, and then come center and rock it back. Taking a break as you need it, maybe the upper body gets involved. Walking up as you're ready, left to right, right to left. We'll do a couple more here wherever you're at. We'll meet whenever you're down on your back, drawing those knees in and wide once again. Noticing the breath, the pace of the breath maybe increased pretty rapidly from what we were initially doing. Just see if you can stay present and turning the attention inward. Next inhale, start to roll the body all the way up. We're gonna come onto hands and knees. If you have your blocks, go on and set them up towards the front of the mat if you need them. Your blanket if you need it for your knees. And let's come into tabletop variation. And we'll start to connect to the breath as we move through just a few rounds of cat and cow. So I'm gonna inhale, turn my gaze up. And I'm gonna exhale, round the spine and push the floor away and let my head really drop. A few more like that. Maybe just two more. Inhaling and exhaling. Good, let's take it back to child's pose on your next inhale and exhale. We'll take a full breath in and a full breath out here. Your next inhale, start to bring the knees in a little closer and come back into cow pose. Your exhale, try to lengthen it out as you extend back to extended child. Do two more like that. The inhale brings you into your version of cow. And the exhale takes you through extended child. Maybe your head just hovers. One more inhale, cow. Exhale, extended child. Inhale, come back through center. And we're gonna set up for thread the needle and then Ustrasana on our knees. So I'm gonna stack my arms, right arm over my right hand is pressing down, my right shoulder stacking, and I'm gonna take that left arm and open the left arm. Now I don't want you to move your hips, so you maybe that left arm just opens a smidge. Maybe it doesn't even get parallel with the ground, or maybe it just goes beyond. And then as you exhale, you're gonna slide left arm underneath and drop the left ear towards the mat if it gets there. Inhale, slow and long, open that up again. We'll do that two more times, opening up, trying to keep the hips forward, but opening up the upper back here. And then exhaling, slide through into the thread the needle. Last one here, we're gonna open up. Now keep the arm up, start to maybe move that right leg forward and come into Ustrasana on the right side. You can keep the left foot down on the mat as you turn your torso towards the left. Maybe that left leg lifts up, left ribs lift up. And again, maybe you want to play around with the circle movements in the arms. Maybe here just another breath or two. I'm circling my arm often towards the end of the day or even at the beginning when I'm stiffer. I like to bring some more movement into the body anyway. And then come back to center. Let's take dolphin pose here. So building a little bit of heat in the shoulders through some strength. I'm gonna take my forearms down. I'm gonna clasp my hands. Look at your elbows, and we don't want them winging out. They're about shoulder distance. Play around with that. And then I'm gonna start to lift my knees up, and I'm in more like a downward dog legs, but my forearms are on the ground. Now, if it's too much with the legs, you can always just keep the legs bent and press the outer lower arms down. Draw the spine and belly towards one another. Let your head drop and let your chest draw towards your knees. Full breath in, and on your next exhale, release down. And let's switch to the right side. So I'm going to start to open up to the right, hips stay forward, right arm opens. And then I'm going to exhale, thread my needle. Few more like that, opening up and threading the needle. Good. So as you go to open, keep the hips forward, core facing forward, and then opening through the middle and upper back here. Good. That's our third time, and in we come to the Ustrasana variation. Stacking arm over wrist and finding your version here. Maybe feels a little challenging if that's what you're looking for, or maybe it just feels nice and nurturing to bring in some strength, build some heat, and not try to let the ego get involved in any which way. Or let the inner critic saying you should do more. Just feeling your way through this part of the practice and all of the practice. And next time you come forward, if you're circling, come back to center. And let's come into downward facing dog. So finding your downward facing dog here. Maybe bend the knees. Maybe bicycle out the legs. Finding the breath in and the breath out. Next time you breathe in, bring the body forward to a high push-up, knees up or knees down. And then start to come down onto your belly. Hands form cobra position. Inhale, lift up through the middle and upper back. Exhale, release it down. Come down onto your forearms. And now we're going to come into like a forearm plank. So I'm going to start to tuck my toes. I'm going to start to engage the core here. And I'm lifting my thighs off the ground. Too much, then just drop the knees. If it's still too much, drop the belly. If you're in extended legs, knees up, I'm going to add a little bit more. Press the forearms down, round the spine a little bit so you're like in cat pose. And then as you exhale, come back to neutral, lengthen in two directions. Good, we'll do two more of those. Inhaling, lifting up. Exhale, lengthening in two directions. Last one here. Keep finding a nice, long, intentional breath. Bottom of the exhale, come on down. Release the body all the way down. Place the hands for cobra. Lifting up into cobra. And then exhale, take it back, downward facing dog. Mind the breath here, notice. Maybe if you are feeling a little bit more restricted or tighter, take it wider. Really been enjoying a wider downward dog and with my arms and with my legs. So notice how that feels for you. Or whatever adjustments you're making. Your next exhale, bend the knees. And let's go on and take left leg forward, right leg back. And go on and drop the knee down. And lift up. So we're in a low lunge, hands on the thigh. Low lunge, hands on the thigh. And then go ahead and let your left arm drop. And like make it a little more relaxed as we start. We're gonna take a side body bend here. And then I'll turn around. So got my right leg back and arching to the side, no back bend. Belly draws back. So see where I'm at there. And just gently feeling a stretch. If you're not feeling much, take that right leg further back. And so you'll get a more of a stretch in the hip flexors. Good. Now the next time you go to exhale, we're going to come to a side body twist. So I'm upright and I'm rotating my ribs towards the left. My arms are opening just as much as they can open. There I am. Now we're gonna flow between that. Side bend here. Maybe you drop the left arm down. Exhale, take your upright twist. Side bend. Upright twist. We'll do 2 more of those. We are moving, if you haven't been here this month much, we are moving to camel pose tonight. So an upper body back bend, and that's why we're doing a lot here to try to get some fire going, but then also work with that mid to upper back, starting to get some movement in there. The next time you come to your side bend, bring the hands to the thigh, and if available, we'll meet up in a high lunge. If high lunge isn't accessible tonight, then stay in your low lunge. If you have the blocks, you may want them for balance as well. If you grab your blocks, high lunge or low lunge. And if you're in the high lunge, we're going to start to straighten that front leg for Ustrasana. So now both legs are straight. When I inhale, I'm going to come back to that high lunge. If my back knee, my right leg is bent, then instead of coming into Ustrasana, you can always come into like a half runner split. So 2 options here. Either way, you're going through a high or low lunge. And then either way, you're beginning to get a stretch through the calves and hamstrings and the back line of the body. So let's do a few more like that. If you weren't sure where you were going and now you're finding your rhythm or your cadence here. Settling into the cycle of the breath. Every inhale, new beginning. Every exhale, completion of a cycle. Whatever round you're on, we'll do 1 more. So whenever you're done with this round, let's do 1 more round. Good, and then come back to your lunge, high or low. And let's clasp the hands behind us. If clasping isn't available, you can grab opposite elbows. And then start to lengthen the tailbone and lift the chest up. Here, my hands are reaching towards almost towards the floor, or maybe it helps for you to think about your hands reaching towards your right foot. So they're reaching down and back. And when you exhale, let's release and take downward facing dog. Finding your down dog, feeling out right side, left side. What does it feel like in the mind? What does it feel like in the breath and the emotional tone? No judgment, no wrong, just noticing. Let's take the right leg forward on your inhale, and we're going to start in that low lunge and try to take a nice wide stance here. So that back leg left now is sort of dropping forward, right outer hip draws back. So there is a facing forward of both hip bones and an engagement through the legs. Hips settle. And then we're going to move into our side bend. So maybe you shift the hips back a little bit, maybe you don't need to, and then we start to bend towards the right. I'm dropping my right hand down, left arm overhead. Maybe you can even really feel that stretch from the outer left armpit all the way up the elbow, all the way out the left pinky finger. Now you know where we're going here. As you exhale, shift the hips back and come into your upright twist. Inhale with your breath and start to flow between the side bend and then maybe backing up a little bit and the upright twist. And find a rhythm to move here. Noticing the balance. What kind of tips you off balance? What keeps you in balance? Hugging the sides of the waist in. Not being in a rush to go maybe deeper than you're ready to go. Feeling it out, opening. There's a difference of the right shoulder blade drawing in, left shoulder kind of moves off the back in that upright twist. So finish whatever round you're on, and let's do one more here. One more side bend, one more upright twist, and then come back through center. And if you're coming into a high lunge, come on up into the high lunge, and then we'll start to move into Parsvottanasana, straightening both legs, letting the head drop, or you'll move into half runner's lunge with the right heel on the ground, shifting hips up. The breath is your anchor. Receive the breath. Release the breath. Receive the breath in. Release the breath out. Work through whichever you're on now, and then you'll do one more cycle of breath here. When you finish with that cycle, recalibrate the body and start to clasp the hands. So if you need to drop the leg because it was up, or you're ready to bring it up because it was down, see where you're at, and then start to clasp. Lengthen the hands down. Lift from the upper part of the chest, but keep hugging in the sides of the waist so we can protect the lower back. Hug the hips in. And then as you're ready, you're going to exhale, come through downward dog, just very briefly. And then when you inhale, whenever your inhale arises, come forward to the high push-up and lower all the way down onto your belly. Once on your belly, come into Cobra Pose. And once you exhale, lower it down. Let's do that 2 more times, keeping tops of the feet down, thighs down, inhale, lift up. Maybe noticing here, exhale, down. There's a little bit more space as you lift up into Cobra, in the upper back, shoulders drawing in towards the spine. And exhale, let it go. Now go on and make a pillow with your hands. And we're gonna take our left leg into half frog. I only know it called that. I don't know any Sanskrit variation or word of it. But we're gonna take that left knee on the ground. My right leg is extended behind me. And you can keep a pillow for your head, or maybe your chin is up. And I'm just gonna slide that right knee forward, almost like that happy baby we started with. You know, you may find you can make your left shin parallel with the mat, but I'm on my belly and I'm just getting into the groin and the inner thigh, a little bit of quads here, hamstrings. And then I'm gonna slide that leg back, or maybe lift it back, and I'm gonna do the same thing on the other side. So if you know it as half frog, sometimes you're off your belly, but we're just doing it where we're on our belly, sliding that leg forward, and then letting the hips soften down. No rush. Stay relaxed in the breath. And then the next time you exhale, empty out the breath, slide back to neutral. And then let's go and take the arms alongside the body. Lengthen out right leg behind you, lengthen out left leg, and we're gonna lift up into Dhanurasana. Now, if you feel like you're warmed up and your quadriceps and hamstrings can do this, you can reach behind and grab both ankles, or we're gonna lift up into Shalabhasana. So if you feel like you can grab your ankles without hamstrings cramping, or that's your thing, go for that. Otherwise, we're gonna take Shalabhasana, which is the legs lifting, the upper body lifting. And we're getting that same effort in through the spine and the spinal muscles, but it's just affecting the rest of the body a little differently. We all want to walk out of here feeling good, so be mindful of that. Mindful of the breath. And as you're ready, exhale, release it out. Inhale, lift back up, maybe come through child's pose or right into downward facing dog. And we'll meet in downward facing dog. Just neutralizing everything. And then come down to hands and knees. So here we're gonna come back to that thread the needle that we did. I'm gonna start with the left arm. I'm gonna open up the left arm, but I'm gonna change the variation now. So my left arm is lifted up. Now I'm gonna inhale, come on up to just your knees on the floor. I'm upright here. I'm gonna bring my left hand on my torso, just above my belly button, just to kind of be aware that it's not jutting forward. And then I'm gonna turn towards my right. And then I'm maybe gonna reach behind me, tuck my toes, and reach for my right heel. And I'm gonna spiral my arms back down. Open up the left arm for that, I don't even know, opening up the chest. Now we're gonna use the breath, come back, knees down, lift up. Left hand to belly, rotate, reach right hand behind you. And now find that same kind of cadence with the body and the breath. Inhale, maybe you exhale, bring both hands down. Inhale, rocket the body up, turn the torso, and then extend into a half camel pose. And we'll do 3, 4 more here. This sort of, one of the reasons I love this one is it's like you can start to get this like integrated whole body movement, slowing it down as you move through and spiral down with control. Find a rhythm with the breath that works for you. Maybe it's a little quicker. Maybe it has a few more pauses to really appreciate the breath as you go. This will be our last round. Coming back to center. Let's take one round of cat and cow when you get there. Then we'll switch sides. Good, so we'll start on the right side. You're gonna just lift that arm up. And then on the breath, and however many breaths you need, lift the upper body up. Rotate, then lean back. Maybe you get the spiral movement so that right hand doesn't even hit the ground. Maybe you take it in different stages. All the while, connecting to the breath. Noticing the sensations. Noticing if one side is speaking to you differently than the other. Whenever you get through this round, we'll do one more round. Make sure you lift up with the upper body. The lower back is drawing in towards the spine. So we protect the lower back. And then whenever you get down here, let's take downward facing dog. A few breaths in downward dog. When you're ready to inhale, come forward to high push up. When you're ready to exhale, lower down onto your belly. Inhale through cobra. Exhale right into downward facing dog. Again, maybe wider hands or feet, or if it's been a while, or you're feeling a little bit more restriction in the body. Good. Bend your knees, look between your hands, and let's walk the feet towards the hands. And come into Uttanasana, forward fold, and really let the neck go. Give it a yes, give it a no. Gentle encouragement. Being radically kind to yourself, whatever your experience is. Next inhale, rise all the way up to standing. Tadasana. Exhale, release the hands right in front of the heart. We're going to flow into one more flow. We're going to inhale, lift the arms up. Exhale, fold it all the way down. Good. Let's take the right leg back. Again, we'll start with dropping the knee. If you need your blocks, you can lift the floor up to you. And the first round, we'll go a little slower, and then we'll add to it. We'll repeat it a few times. We're going to inhale, take that left arm up. So now in a low lunge twist. So pretty similar movements, right, that we've been working through. And then I'm going to come back to that upright open twist. Good. Come back to your lunge twist, or right arm down, left arm up. And maybe you're in high lunge. Maybe you want to come into a high lunge and then do this upright. Just one more time here. Lunge twist, right arm down, left arm reaches in the opposite direction. And then come into your twist. Now we're going to do something I call funky twist. I'm going to take my left arm towards my right leg. I'm going to take my right arm and we're side bend it. So we're just combining a few things here. Left arm reaches towards my right thigh, or maybe towards the sacrum, right in the center. Good. Playing around with the balance a bit for sure. And then turn the hips towards the front of the mat. Lengthen the body forward like you're flying, and then take prayer twist here. So gently bringing the hands together, revolving the body towards the outer left leg. Maybe you drop that right elbow outside the left leg, hug the hips in. Your next exhale, we're going to come up to warrior two. So exhale into warrior two. Inhale, reverse your warrior. Exhale, extended side angle. Inhale, we're going to come to downward dog, left leg in the air. Exhale, release that leg down, pause, downward facing dog, and we'll start to move. Right leg comes forward, left leg back. So here you are in your lunge twist. Gonna start to set up, hug the hips in, and then rotate the upper body. Left hand down, right arm up. Maybe you're on blocks, maybe you're not. Good, now start to work here with the upright revolve position. And then flow between on the breath, lunge twist, upright lunge. Maybe you have a wall near you to help or anything. Good. Good, last time, so the lunge twist, and on the breath, we lift up. And now we're gonna come into that funky twist. I'm side bending and reaching my right arm towards my left leg. Or if that's too far, then maybe my right wrist is just resting on the back of my sacrum. Find the breath in. Settle into the breath out. Good. Come back towards center with the hips and the arms. Fly the body forward, hands into prayer, and then take your twist towards the outer right leg. Maybe your gaze is down at your right foot. Maybe your gaze is towards the right. Your next inhale, big inhale, right into warrior two. Find your heel to arch alignment. Exhale into reverse warrior. Inhale, extended side angle. Exhale, take it down, downward facing dog, right leg in the air. Exhale, release it down. Good, let's switch, let's repeat. We're gonna move it just a little bit quicker, but not quick. We're gonna inhale into our lunge twist. Exhale into our whatever variation you're doing of your standing or back knee down twist. This time come right into your funky twist. So sort of that side bend with a little twist. And now come back through center, fly the body forward, whether you're on your back knee or not, and then take the twist towards the left. Inhale up into your reverse warrior. Exhale into your version of extended side angle. Revolve the hands down, left leg in the air. Maybe you even want to open up the hip here so you have that left foot moving towards the right. Exhale, downward dog. Inhale, right leg forward. Find your position. Revolve into lunge twist. Exhale into the side twist. Inhale into side bend with a twist, the funky version. Exhale, start to turn the body forward, flying position to get nice and stable. Hands in front of the heart, prayer twist. Open up, warrior two. Reverse your warrior, finding your breath. If you're exhaling, then roll that. If you're inhaling, use the inhale as you transition to the next posture. Your breath, down dog. This is our last time through. Right leg is in the air. Exhale, release it down. Good, let's repeat one more time here. Left leg comes forward. With the breath, I'm gonna revolve into my twist. With the breath, I'm gonna transition into the upright twist. Funky twist, inside bend. Good, and then coming back through center, flying forward, revolving the upper body. Hips are staying square at the front as much as we can. Now we open up the hips, some version of warrior two. Exhale, we reverse. Or maybe that's your inhale. Keep moving on the breath. I want you to be able to decide what breath as you move and take it into downward dog, left leg in the air. Maybe open that hip. Your breath, come all the way down. Maybe you take child, or maybe you want to come on to elbows and then reach the hands to reverse namaste for getting a stretch through the back upper arms. Either way, see if you can really let the chest soften. You can catch into the breath. Seeing the pace of the breath, the texture of the breath. Over the next couple of breaths, we'll meet back up and on our knees. So we're gonna come onto our knees, and this is where we're gonna come into camel version, whatever version you wanna take. Grab your blocks if you have them. And I'm gonna give you multiple options here. So I still really like to have my toes tucked underneath me. Some people prefer and can work with toes untucked. If you have your blocks, you can always use those right alongside the ankles. What I want you to do first is take that clasp. So like what we did earlier when we clasped the hands, clasping the hands, and then really work. I love to describe it like this, like the limbo stick. I feel like we're all old enough and we've done limbo, right? So when you have to like arch back, but I want you to lengthen through and up first, and only take that arch from the middle back. Don't let the lower back get involved. You're gonna clasp the hands, arch from the middle to upper back, and then maybe even just drop the quads back, like drop your body back. Maybe this is enough, you keep the chin, maybe gently tucked or straight ahead. If you wanna go a bit further here, if you feel like that's appropriate, you can reach your hands to the blocks or reach your hands to your heels, but keep the breath nice and full. As full as you can keep it, given the posture you're in. Maybe 2 or 3 more breaths here. Softening if it gets harder, noticing where you go when it gets harder. Can you stay here? And then you'll inhale, slowly lift up. And if comfortable, sit back on your feet. So I'm sitting right back on my heels. If that's not accessible, you can flip into seated. Just pausing here, letting the eyes shut. Maybe bringing the hands to rest and nestle right on your lap. I'm going to give you an option here. Maybe you want to do one more camel, or maybe that's it. Maybe for you, practicing the art of visualization is what you're going to do right now. We were watching the Olympics last night, and one of the swimmers from Great Britain, he talked about how visualization was so key. He felt like in his success, just even visualizing yourself doing it, pain-free, full breath, feeling ease and strength. So whatever it is that comes up to you, either visualize it, or you begin to lift up and move physically through it. So finding your choice here, whichever one you want to rock into. Again, clasping is stage one. Maybe you do the clasp and the lean. Maybe hands are in some variation of heels. We'll take 3 to 5 breaths total, or if you need to do it twice as you're coming in and out, in and out. And you'll use the inhale to lift up. And as you're ready, the exhale to lower you back on your feet briefly. And if there's any variation or counter pose you want to try or move into, we'll meet up on our back. Go ahead and have your props nearby. We'll start to wind it down here. Have your props nearby, especially your blanket. We'll come onto your backs briefly and just notice. Beginning of practice, you may have been seated or you may have been on your back, but shortly thereafter, we all ended up on our back. So just notice how it feels at this part of the journey. Notice where there's ease, and maybe invite in a release of any tension that you may be feeling. And then let's go and grab our blanket. Now, depending on how your blanket's folded, if it's still rolled, that's great. Or I'm going to have you get up and grab your blanket and just kind of roll it up. If it's still in the long roll, like I had initially, that'll totally work too. So any kind of roll or a full, like an accordion fold is fine too. And come down, back down onto your back, and then lift your hips up and put your sacrum area right on that blanket. If it's rolled too tight or too big, you can decrease the roll. Maybe take the blanket apart a little bit and roll it a little less. But the lower back is draping, so my lower back is draping. I want to really try to release that lower back and find some length here. Now to start, let's go and lift the knees up. And I'm going to keep my hands right on the kneecaps. I'm going to let the shoulders drop, the lower back drape. But my hips really heavy on the blanket here. If you don't have a blanket or towel, you could always use your block. You just find it a little bit harder to relax into when the block's underneath you, and it can be a little bit more intense. So drop the legs off to the left a little bit, just a little bit. You'll start to get off the spine and onto that outer hip, the upper glutes. And we're just going to stay here, just that little bit dropped over. And now maybe you release your hands and you just start to make circles with your left knee. So you're literally just making circles with that left knee. You can choose how fast or slow. I'm trying to not move my back or my hips too much, just trying to get a little bit of circle and movement. It's like doing myofascial release work for the sacrum area and the joints in this area. And then all the work they do for us all day long, supporting us and through our practice. And we'll make one more circle, come back to center. Maybe you want to rock a little bit if that feels good, evening out a little. If you're sliding, just get yourself back on. And then let's do it now to the right. So I'm just going like an inch or two. I'm just not straight on the spine. You can maybe start to feel some of the glute muscles, getting a little bit of compression from the blanket. And then start to make those circles. Again, see if we can focus the movement in the leg. And close the eyes. Let the mind drop back, let the head, shoulders drop back. And then go on in and come back to center, still letting the upper body really drop back. Maybe the lower back, let that cascade a little more. And then go on and draw your right knee in and extend your left leg out. You have options here. If you immediately want to drop that left heel down, maybe that feels good to get more into a passive stretch. You want to add a little bit more if you want to add a little bit more of the strength as well. You're going to start to just pulse the leg up and down. We're just going to be here briefly doing a little bit of lengthening and contracting at the same time. So I'm lengthening that left leg away, but then as you're using it and pumping it up and down, you're also contracting. Good, and now let's all come into that little more of what we call a passive stretch, equally valuable, equally necessary. I'm drawing my right knee in now, right into my torso, my left heel on the ground. You can let that leg turn out, your left leg turn out if it feels good. Your choice. And after the bottom of your next exhale, whenever you get to that next exhale, draw the left knee back in, and we'll switch sides. So we're going to start maybe with, let's just start lengthening out that right leg, heel down. Left leg is drawing over the center of your body, so right over the torso, as much as you can do that. And then maybe you want to add in a little bit more of that lengthening and contraction. You start to lift and hover the right heel, extend a bit through the heel, and then starting to pulse that right leg just a couple inches up and down. Maybe you see your toes if you lift it up high enough, and then you don't see your toes, or maybe that's too high and you just know you're moving your leg. Just a couple of inches up and down. After your next exhale, go on and drop that right heel down. Draw left leg in and let that right leg relax. Depending on what you need, and as we become more still here, maybe you start to count the breath in for 4 and out to 5 or 6. Maybe you're comfortable just simply lying here and breathing in and out in the stretch. But if you feel like you still need a little help tuning down a bit or turning down, then maybe counting the breath will be helpful. Gently draw both knees back in and place both feet on the floor now. Pause. And then go on and take that blanket out. Take the feet a little wide. Maybe you want to come through a windshield wiper, just a little bit of a windshield wiper before we shift into Shavasana. And when you're ready, having any props you might need, we'll lengthen out the legs. We will settle into the 4-minute or so Shavasana. So go on and find that comfortable position for you. Maybe you grabbed a prop and you're getting nestled in, supporting the neck or the back. Maybe counting the breath is still relevant, or maybe you are ready to just be quiet and still with the mind and body and heart. I'm gonna be here with you, but I'm gonna go into silence for a couple of minutes so we can really settle into the experience here. Letting your body settle another minute or so here in Shavasana. Noticing the pace and temperature. Noticing the internal landscape. Noticing the external body, how it feels on the skin, and then how it feels on the inside, and the muscles and bones. Just noticing the whole body, or the body as a whole, and all of its connected parts. Maybe bringing some movement back in. And making your way to your side, pause. And then come up to a comfortable seat. We'll be here super brief. Find a comfortable seat. Letting the body settle into being here. And just notice the breath as you breathe in, initiating a cycle or a new beginning. And as you exhale out, completing the cycle. Get a few more times as we ebb and flow on the in and exhale. The fullness of the breath in. And the concentrated inward movement of as you exhale out. One more last round like that. Fullness of the inhale as you begin, and the centering and emptying out of the exhale out. And draw your hands together in front of the heart. Whatever your experience has been, please honor that. Great offering up that sense of gratitude for your body. And as you're ready, full exhale out, drops chin to heart, and let the breath go. Take your time.